We are super happy to see you today and very welcome everyone to Zeilen in Review 2024. Today, we will be talking about the achievements of the past year, projects that we have worked on, and telling you the stories from the convoys. We will show you the direct impact of every donation that you trust Zeilen and how does a simple euro changes the life of someone in Ukraine. So let's start with the deep dive of the stats, basically of the results of work Zeilen van Vrijheid throughout the years. Since early March 2022, we have delivered 207 ambulances, 5 trucks, 4 fire trucks, 114 evacuation vehicles of different kinds, 2,500 bicycles, and more than 650 tons of medical humanitarian aid. And that's not it. The numbers above, they are just proving that we are a non-profit with the systematic impact. As for today's agenda, we will cover next topics. First, the results, both financial and impactful of 2024. We will go through the numbers because everyone loves the numbers as much as we do, right? Herlinda will tell you the driver stories and the convoys. We will highlight all the projects that we work on apart from the convoys in 2024. Among them, you will find the heartbreaking story of Ohmedit attack. And I would like to tell you all that after the presentation of the results at the end of this session, you will have a chance to get through Q&A session. Basically, you have a button in the bottom of your screen that shows Q&A. You can use it during the presentation with your questions. But by the end of the presentation, you will have a chance to get all your questions answered. So we're not interrupting the presentation per se. If you do have any other questions regarding the foundation or the way we work, please also use the Q&A button below and send them to the chat. Tatiana, our coordinator, will be monitoring all the questions and we will definitely answer them at the end. Thank you. And as I said in the beginning, please note that the recording will be available at our website after the meeting, so you can access it anytime. I see in the attendees some of the newcomers, so basically to our community. So let's do a quick recap on who we are. Zeilen van Vrijheid is a non-profit that delivers priority emergency vehicles, medicines, and equipment to Ukraine with the minimum delays to where they are most needed. This is our mission. We know that those most impacted by the war are those who need healthcare the most. What we mean is that we're helping to help others. Yeah, throughout the years, Zeilen, as it is, has overcome a few challenges, starting strong back in 2022 as a reply to Russia starting war in Ukraine with a team of around 20 coordinators and the full-time volunteers. We went through some organizational changes last year and became a small team with limited resources, but with this, we didn't lose the effectiveness of work and multiplied the impact that we bring to Ukraine and Ukrainian people. For some of you, these faces are already familiar. Someone doesn't really know who we are, but please welcome the team of our main coordinators for running Zeilen van Vrijheid and all the activities we do. Dmytro Voznenko is our logistics and storage management specialist. Herlinda Korteding is one and only driver coordinator, so our drivers see her a lot and speak to her a lot all the time, as well as we do. Tatiana Manbro is busy with the organization and marketing of the events. Natalie Korsch is the outreach and the social media specialist. And if you have contacted us through the social media, you most likely definitely was talking with her. Dmytro Zadorozhny is one of our full-time volunteers for the sticker supplies and the load management. Maria Pedenko is our medical coordinator. You're also talking to Maria a lot, especially if you are donating some goods to us. Denis Ulyanov is UBO and the treasurer. Olena Bulygina is UBO and the one who stands behind all the design of our outreaching materials and our website, and also she is taking the role of secretary of the foundation. And me, Veronica Mutsei, as the head of foundation. We probably know each other for quite a long time. But most importantly, it's not about the coordinating team. We are just managing the assets that we are getting from you, transforming them into the most impactful help to Ukraine. So Zeilen is you. It starts with you. You are driving ambulances that are purchased with the donations that we received from you. You are packing our vehicles with the goods that were donated by you to our storage. You are giving us a direction of help with the craziest and so needed things in Ukraine. You are undergoing tasks in the border control during the convoys. We're just helping you to get through in the shortest possible time. You are spending sleepless nights driving in Germany, Poland, and Ukraine while we are just coordinating the process and ensuring that everything goes according to the plan. You are inspiring us and giving us the energy to continue. Multiple times over these 3 years, we saw that Zeilen was coming to an end due to the lack of the donations, but every next moment you gave us a hand, showing so incredibly strong support to Ukraine. Next slide, please. Believe it or not, but during the past year, you donated more than 600,000 euros internationally to Zeilen van Vrijheid. And all the money was spent on the support of Ukraine. When we were working on our financial reporting of the year 2024, when I saw the numbers for the first time, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was shocked. Surely, compared to the first 2 years of existence of Zeilen van Vrijheid, this amount seems to be way too little. But knowing that this is the third year of the Russia full-scale invasion of Ukraine, it's huge. 600,000 euros during the year is roughly 1,600 euros per day. And for such a small organization like ours, it is a great achievement of trust and visibility of our work. You know that we are not proactively asking for the donations. Only a few projects in the past year were running together with the open donation campaigns. But we are operating on the fact of your trust on the daily basis, and you clearly can see that Zeilen van Vrijheid is one of the most trusted organizations by the people in the Netherlands. Oh yeah, we wish that there would have been an award for that, because the fact that we got so many donations means a lot to us and to Ukraine. During 2024, we were able to purchase and deliver 25 ambulances, one neonatal ambulance for the transportation of prematurely born children, two doctor's cars, one fire truck, and 12 support and evacuation vehicles of the different kinds. With the rare exceptions, Zeilen's purchased and delivered vehicles are never driving empty. Only during the past year, we also delivered more than 100 tons of medical equipment and goods and distributed them in Ukraine with the help of our partners. We will talk about this later with Elena in numbers, but the biggest amount of the humanitarian aid is not purchased by us. It is something that you or our dearest partners are donating to us for the use of Ukraine. Elena, would you like to present the actual numbers to everyone and take us through them?
Will be very, very happy to, but first give me a nod if you can hear me all right and you can see me all right. Good, I see nods. All right. If efficiency is our love language, then numbers is how we do speak it, indeed. And in the next couple of slides, I will take you through the financial operations of Zeilen van Vrijheid, starting with this one breakdown of spending for 2024, and then provide you a comparative summary across previous 2 years, because it is important to understand the baseline and the reality in which we all operate in. Here, as you can see on this slide, we did maintain a strong constant commitment to direct aid in 2024, with over 90% of all funds being deployed immediately to directly support those who are in need. And when we analyze the spending from the last year in a bit more details, the largest portion went to vehicle purchase and delivery. This accounts together for 75%, 3/4 of overall spendings. And it's obvious that ambulances and medical vehicles is what we do. They are what we're known for, and the convoy reimbursements is and logistics is inevitable part of it. So they account for 9% of the spending, covering the complexity of logistics, transporting vehicles from the Netherlands to Ukraine. Honestly, a task that is never really obvious or trivial, despite of how many convoys we successfully sent before, as you will learn in just a couple of minutes from Herlinda. Medical and humanitarian aid come together for around 8.3% of our spending. This is a significant shift from previous years, which I also will explain shortly. 2024 was the year where we also expanded our support those generators. They account for around 6% of our spending. And this new category, honestly, for us, it is rather obvious. It addresses the need for the reliable power in medical, civic facilities that operate in the areas with damaged infrastructure. We actually begin this during the first blackouts in the late 2023 with the first truck of generators arriving around last days of that year. But given the ongoing and non-ending Russian attacks on power infrastructure, this has become an essential part of the mission. Our individual first aid kits represent around 2% of the spending, and they do provide critical capabilities to paramedics and those who are on the front line. Now, foundation costs, they do include things like IT, storage, marketing, and the fees we have to pay. And this means that our work is accomplished with overheads of just 8.5%, which is remarkably low in the land of humanitarian organizations. And another thing that is obvious to you, but may not be obvious to everyone on this call, is that we operate entirely on a volunteer basis, which means that none of the people on the team slide or the one that you see in this row, including myself, none of us draw salaries or compensation. The only paid position in our entire org is our accountant, who ensures that we maintain proper financial records and compliance. Rule of thumb, right? Your accountant has to be paid. But it is the dedication of our team and our volunteers and drivers and our trusted partners that allow us to maximize, to get the direct help to where it is needed the most. And then if we do, let's see how these numbers stack against two previous years. So when we compare this year's spending pattern with 2023, 2022, we do see a significant change and evolution in our approach. And this slide also reveals a couple of other important trends. So first, you can see that change in donation landscape, right, from 3.17 million euros, staggering amount, to 1.8 in the second year, and then to 600,000 in the last year. But we are not unique here. This reflects a broader pattern that is seen and observed across humanitarian organizations that are supporting Ukraine. And so despite what technically could be seen and as an 81% reduction since 2022, we did continue to adapt our operations. Because honestly, what really is behind this data trend is our pride and gratefulness. Gratefulness to be able to operate on this level in numbers on third year of war, as Veronica just said. However, coming back to Zeilen, what is particularly interesting is how these 3 years also reflect the different needs in Ukraine and the changing nature of war. And so each year required different response from us. And we look at each one as a chapter. Year 1, emergency response. Year 2, strategic adaptation. Year 3, more focused impact. So in 2022, during the first year, you can see we allocated a significant portion of our budget to medical supplies. It is in this orange red. At that time, we were primarily filling the gaps in the supply chains, buying a lot of medical supplies because the healthcare system was overwhelmed. And so our role was to provide broad support across many areas. But then, by the second year, these needs have evolved because you can see our vehicle purchases in lime green. They became a larger proportion of the spending, while medical supplies decreased. Because again, as local healthcare systems have adapted, international support was more coordinated, and of course, the changes in the battlefield impacted how international support was changing for Ukraine as well. But we were also buying more first aid kits as well for paramedic teams. Now, last year, for 2024, we were working much more on specific requests rather than general supply, which means again also for medical supplies situation changed dramatically. In 2022, we bought a lot, most of it. And today, as Veronica said, most of them are donated to us. So our role has shifted to targeted interventions to more specialized support. What's next? Foundation costs. Deep green, emerald green. They have remained relatively stable in absolute terms, around 43K in 2022, around 53K in 2024. This is because, as I just mentioned, we do have fixed costs that they are necessary to maintain operations. We rely a lot on our digital infrastructure, storage as well, marketing, accounting. Speaking of marketing, 2024, we had two major successful events to maintain awareness of Ukraine's continuing needs. Another important direction of our work. We will provide a reflection on this today as well, so stay tuned. But they obviously did change the numbers of how much we spend on marketing. In summary, while overhead costs represented just 1.5% in 2022, with that level of donations, 2024, costs come to 8.5% of our spending. And honestly, this is still fourth year on. This is one of our key challenges as of now, maintaining this foundation for our work, but also maximizing the percentage that goes directly to the aid that also makes an impact because we don't want to be bringing water bottles to Dnipro. So to recap, past year, as well as previous 2 years, reflect changing needs, situation in Ukraine, but as well our adaptation towards that and our impact, about which you will hear for the most of the hour once I hand over to Veronica. It remains significant because we are able to focus our resources to where they essentially can do the most. And we are obviously not just continuing the work, refining it, reinventing ourselves. So hopefully by now we've shown you how we speak efficiency through numbers. And I think this is also a good time to remind everyone that our efficiency is also demonstrated in our processes in different ways. For example, day zero, costs, funds come to our account. This is what we call a day zero. We are most able to procure an ambulance same day or next day. From there, our parallel processes, they do kick in, which means logistics, medical aid, procurement, assemblage of the convoy, they begin while the ambulance is being checked and cleared. With just a few days, we also have the drivers, everything is confirmed, and convoy leaves typically on the next Saturday morning, closest Saturday morning. By day 5, it arrives in Ukraine, and within 10 days from the donation, the ambulance may already be seen on duty. So yeah, if you were to take only 3 things from me today, 90% of funds deployed immediately, 75 of that, 3/4, goes to vehicle and delivery, and our time to impact is 10 days. Over to you, Veronica.
Thank you so much, Elena. Impressive numbers, and impressive understanding of the help that's all we're doing, and actually the amount of the donations that we're receiving from you. So helping to help others doesn't end at the aid destination. We are very transparent and intentionally visible. We blend our infrastructure and expertise to encourage people to adopt our practices. I have seen many inspiring individual humanitarian missions that started internally in the foundation, and we're super proud of that. We turned Dutch volunteers who have never visited Ukraine or had any personal connection to it into passionate supporters of our cause and in Ukraine in general. But with all that, I would like to pass the word to Herlinda because she will be the best person actually to talk about the drivers in our convoys. Herlinda, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you, Veronica. Can you all hear me? Good. Yeah, in total, we had 12 convoys this year. So on average, that's around one time per month. Is it a lot? Is it not enough? I'll leave it to you to decide. But for us as coordinators, it's still a lot of work. And we've also seen some challenges last year. For example, in 2024, we first experienced the hell of Ukraine declarations. And that was due to a change in the Ukrainian customs systems. Declarations from now on were to be made by partners and not by us. And this really was a huge and difficult challenge. Some of our drivers experienced that themselves. If you have any questions about your declarations, just put them in the Q&A chat. And at the end of this session, we'll get back to them. It has been a long road, but all of a sudden we found our way on working and continue helping Ukraine. And I'd like to share some highlights with you, some good and not so good highlights that happened in 2024. This slide shows our Ukrainian partners. The new Ukrainian customs systems meant that we had to change the way of helping. And now almost all humanitarian aid that we bring to Ukraine goes through our partners there, Zraya and International Aid Legion. And upon receival of the goods, the aid is being distributed by them in Ukraine. Convoy 47. After all these years of sending convoys to Ukraine, in Convoy 47, we experienced a car accident for the first time, mainly because our planning wasn't ideal at that moment of time. We had one car and our drivers decided to drive the whole night. We did not stop them from that, though we should have. Luckily, our drivers were not harmed and the car made it safely to Ukraine. Just to remind you and ourselves, our main rule is safety first. Safety of the convoy and safety of our drivers. For us, that means driving as fast as possible and as safe as possible. And also to check the cars before every departure. Oil and liquid checks, tire checks, warning messages checks, you name it. Although we always clearly mention the importance of safety first in our briefing before departure, allowing drivers to drive at night was a clear mistake by us, and we learned a lot from it. Convoy 49. It was originally planned as a two-car convoy, but we had to disappoint two drivers one day before departure, as the car they were supposed to drive had a bad technical condition. Sadly, the remaining car didn't make it to Ukraine that weekend either. Shortly after crossing the border between the Netherlands and Germany, near Bad Bentheim, the car broke down on Saturday morning. It's not the first time that one of our vehicles broke down in Germany, by the way. We had to leave it there at a gas station on the Autobahn, and our amazing drivers, Huib and Konstantin, had a very interesting journey back home by train. And you can see the video of it. On March 30, the Easter weekend, our 50th convoy departed to Ukraine. We were able to send 5 ambulances this time. It was a memorable convoy with drivers who've been with us from the beginning and drivers who joined quite recently. Oleg was coordinating this convoy together with Veronica. but I do remember the driver's disappointment that their favorite restaurant in Poland, Borscht, turned out to be closed that night. This was also the weekend that we first sort of enjoyed the new customs rules, although they officially would start only a day later. Nevertheless, it took our drivers only 3 hours to cross the Polish-Ukrainian border. We've seen far longer crossings. 50 is a nice figure, isn't it? Although at the same time, it's also a sad thing, because it means the war is still going on. With this being said, I'm passing the word back to Veronica.
Thank you so much, Herlinda. Yes, every day people are getting killed in Ukraine. Every day we read the news that the Russian missiles targeted another civilian object in Ukraine. Like just last week, when a Russian ballistic missile hit the children's playground of the city in the Kryvyi Rih, killing in total 16 people. Among those, 9 were children. Looking back at our 50th convoy, it also makes me very, very sad because that was the very last convoy when a big friend of our foundation, Ronald Hulkamp, was driving with us. Ronald was not just a friend. He was a force of humanity. When the full-scale invasion of Ukraine began, many people watched it in disbelief, and not knowing how to help or what to do. But Ronald, he didn't hesitate. He stepped forward, he showed up, he gave his time, energy, and truly his whole self. In April 2022, he joined our 5th convoy as a driver, and from that moment on, he never stopped moving, never stopped caring, never stopped doing. Ronald didn't wait for others to act, he became an action. Soon after joining us, he started his own mission to support Ukraine, tirelessly collecting humanitarian goods day and night. He made countless trips, crossing the borders with supplies, warmth, and love. Where others saw obstacles, Ronald saw reasons to try harder. He believed in people. He believed in showing up for strangers just because it was the right thing to do. He cared for elderly in shelters. He became a lifeline for so many who had no one else. His absence is deeply painful, but his legacy, that enormous, generous, unshakable spirit, will never leave us. It lives on in every life he touched, in every act of kindness we continue in his name. Ronald deserves that we talk more about him, and with this being said, I would like to pass the word to his best friend, Dmitry Kovtunenko. Dima, please.
Thank you very much, Veronica. Thank you. And although it is difficult and it's almost a year, but Ronald was our friend. He often said maatje. That's in Dutch. Everybody knows what it is, obviously. And often we heard from Ronald that word, but it always accompanied with his warm, big, strong hugs, because this man had a lumpy chunks instead of hands. He was just a big one fellow. But his heart was even bigger than that. And I think he left that impression not only with the foundation, but also the people he helped. And he really did so. So he was, to me, truly one of a kind, because his enormous heart knew no limits. Whether it was fixing brakes underway, changing tire, or driving through storms with his own mission or with Zeilen, he never faltered. So every time we traveled, even did travel together, I remember the fate was bringing us together. Like on one convoy, we met on Polish border because he was returning with his friend Case, and we still met. We loaded up a motorcycle up back in a van. We took sick Jason up on board, and we just went through the border together with a motorcycle. So that was, again, Ronald. Out of the blue, we didn't know how to load a motorcycle. We had sick Jason, but still he managed to be there. So on the other convoy, we had 2 big yellow buses with a big trailers behind them, fully loaded with some bottles. I can't remember what it was because I will not say it out loud. But even with this mobile hospital, we managed to put out a fire on the parking lot. And yet, who was there again putting up fire or putting out fire? It was Ronald trying to open the car. So he appeared to be everywhere. So, and he had a deep fascination with military gear. He was always trying to get something, and yeah, that was so unique about him. And I remember it because I carry that memory in my passport, although I changed it. A stamp marking 2 times crossing at same day in Ukraine because of something that Ronald wanted to bring out of Ukraine. So that was really nice of him. Ronald, you always be and you always a warrior of light. And the song that you really liked a lot. You chosen your path far too soon, but the vivid memories you gave all of us will always and forever remain in our hearts. You touch countless lives with your boundless energy and dedication. So we know that heaven has gained in a beautiful soul. We lost one, but your joyful spirit who brought us all together will be with us every day. And rest in peace. And forever you can call us your Mari. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dimitri. Ronald, and thank you, first of all, for your friendship, for your courage, for being a light when the world needed it the most. And from all of us, rest in peace, dear Ronald. Life is, sorry, I'm getting a bit nervous because he is a friend and he always will be a friend. But life is very difficult sometimes. It's like a roller coaster. We're going ups and downs. And Ronald's death was and still is a huge loss to everyone. And his absence is notable in every convoy. But life will always triumph death. We have hundreds of dedicated drivers and volunteers who are restlessly and genuinely devoted to our cause. They are driving convoys often at expense of own comfort, sleep, and the normal life. And they are instrumental in Zeilen's success. Like a switch watch without the barrels, we simply would not be functional without our volunteers. With the quote from our dearest core, one of the leaders of the many convoys throughout the years, we would like to say thank you to each driver and volunteer who participated in the convoys of the year 2024. We learned through experience. Experience makes us do a better job. To make this convoy successful was my goal. Delivering ambulances to our Ukrainian friends, getting all the volunteers back home safely, make it a memorable experience. Thank you all. But the convoys, as already been said, are not the only thing we do. It is an essential part of our work and one of the most time and energy consuming, but this is just the way of the delivery of all the help to Ukraine and the final receivers of this help. During 2024, we ran many other projects that are a part of our one big mission of helping Ukraine in the most efficient way. So I will start it with the funny story of the Dutch police and the bicycle, because the project itself started back in 2022, and it was finally wrapped up last year. We delivered 2,500 bicycles to Ukraine together with Fietsendepot van Amsterdam and Hement Amsterdam. And once in the very beginning of this project, we were loading back then in our storage in Nieuwegein. Well, we looked like thieves because we had so many bicycles locked in the locker, and we started to load them into the truck. And basically, the Dutch police came asking, what the hell are we doing? And where did we get these bicycles from? But at that moment of the time, bicycles were donated just by people and also with help of Ronald by one of the Himentes here in the Netherlands. And we try to explain what we're doing and what is the mission. And the story always reminds me with the worms as a part of the joke. Like, firstly, it really sounded like a joke to us. But look this at another way. The Netherlands are, first of all, known for the huge amount of bicycles, right? There are more bikes in general than people in the country. Um, and as I said, we started just with getting the donations from the private people, and my yard was full with the bicycles. Our storages were full with the bicycle. But then, as usually at Zeilen, everything escalated. Gemeente van Amsterdam and Fietsendepot van Amsterdam stepped in, and together we implemented a project of 2,500 bicycles delivered to Ukraine. You probably are asking yourselves, like, bikes in Ukraine, but why? You know that bikes in Ukraine are not used that widely, for sure, as in the Netherlands, but it's a very significant transportation, especially in the very far located villages. So when I was explaining the project to Fietsendepot van Amsterdam and Gemeente Amsterdam, I showed them exactly the pictures of an old type of Ukrainian bicycles, which are very similar to Opa and Oma Fietsen here. But we didn't bring only the bikes to Ukraine. We brought a way of communicating for those who, for some reason, were left without any transportation, like people in Kiev region after Russian occupation, right? In Bucha, in and the villages nearby. We brought back the hope and some joy of the life for the kids who got their first bike from the Netherlands. We brought freedom of movement and the support. I would like to say thank you to all the partners and the volunteers who participated in this project. It wasn't an easy ride for sure, but a very important one. And hands up to the people in Ukraine, and Alexei Kushka is the coordinator who was busy all this time with the bike repairs and the distribution. The next project that we worked on will be the best described by Maria, our medical coordinator. So Maria, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Great. So yeah, something with a name, Power Up, is not something typical for a medical coordinator. But how did this project started? It started actually quite a long time ago. It started in the end of 2022, in the early days of blackouts. We came across a group of people who were waiting for kidney transplant. And meanwhile doing so, they were staying at home and living on automated dialysis. So basically they had a machine at home and they had liquids at home and they had to perform the procedure one time for 3 days. But the problem is that that was the machine which was powered by electricity. And the moment that when blackouts started, it became a huge, huge problem. Another logical question which you might ask, why didn't those very sick people, why didn't they leave the country? The answer is pretty simple, because they're standing in the waiting list to get a transplant. And according to EU laws and other countries which accepted Ukrainian migrants, they were not allowed to get into the transplant list there. So they basically had to stay in Ukraine in order to have a chance to live. And that was the point when we launched the campaign to deliver portable backup batteries to these patients. I will spare you the details. How did we tested them? How did we spend the weekend running the machine to figure out which capacity of the battery we need? I had fun, honestly. Never expected to have it that way, but still. During this basically 2 years since we have it, and it was one of the few very personal campaigns that we had, which asked for donations from you. We managed to bring about 55 stations, and we covered something around 30% of all the needs of this type of population. I know it might not sound a lot, but it's still a lot. And each of them was personally transported to the exact person who needed. We coordinated with the patients' organizations and so on. So we actually made the life of those people way more predictable. And in their case, when you have to do it every 3 days, and in case you don't have any other choice of either go to the hospital, and if you are living in a remote location, there is no chance, or basically to die. So I think that's a very important job. As regarding to power shortages, I was lucky or unlucky. I went to Kiev in the time when the electricity was available 2 to 4 hours per day. So from personal experience, I can tell you that living basically without electricity is not fun at all. Starting from cleaning and so on, and ending up crossing the street without working street lights. But my trip was not only interesting with talking to the hospitals, checking what we did, and so on. Unfortunately, it was also quite eventful. It was a beautiful sunny day, July 8th. The sky was clear and bright above Kiev. Suddenly, a large, sleek silver object rushed overhead like a giant silver pen. It was a missile. Moments later, it struck Ohmedit, Ukraine's largest children's hospital. I don't know what I felt at that particular moment, but there was no fear, I can tell you, because fear doesn't help you to act, it paralyzes. So, and there was no time for panic or thinking to seek shelter or something like that. So what I did, there were only two things. I messaged those people who you see here, all the coordinators, to give them an update. Maybe before the news, I have no idea when the news came out. And then I called to our partners, to Zgraya, and asked, do you need help, guys? And then I got in the car and went to them. I want to, like, it doesn't make me a good person, and I did it. I don't know why I did it. Not, I think mostly I did it for myself, to be able to cope with what was happening and to be able to do the thing I know how to do the best, basically sort and pack humanitarian aid. Afterward, there were a lot of things going on, but we all sat together online and offline, asking the same question: what can we do? And how can we help the system become more resilient in the face of tragedies like this? And I think Veronica will tell more in more details about our response. So Veronica, please continue. I think you do it better than me.
Thank you, Maria. Yeah, definitely at that moment of the time when we received the first message from Maria, we were all in shock because the news came later. We knew that the most of the money will be collected for the rebuilding of Ohmedit. Basically, when we were responding to this event, we first analyzed the needs and only then started to act. How can we help? That's why being a proactive rather than reactive really matters. Just the day before, one of our neonatal ambulance has crossed the border with another convoy and was already on the way to Kiev. I received a call from our Ukrainian volunteer Dmitro whether he could take the ambulance directly to the site of Ohmedit and help to evacuate the children. What a coincidence, one may think. We don't think that that's a coincidence. This is the direct impact that Zeilen keeps bringing to Ukraine. But if you don't see the horrible news, something horrible in the news, that doesn't mean that we need to start supporting Ukraine. With the money that we raised for Ohmedit attack, more than 150,000 euros in just a couple of days, we were able to almost fully rebuild and supply with the necessary medical equipment children department of Kiev Cancer Center. As the war continues, chances that Russians will be targeting children's hospitals are rather big than small. And in this particular case, we were able to modernize another department in Kiev for heavily sick kids in order to prevent the disruption of the treatment due to the attack, because imagine that this disruption of the treatment will mean death to them. This attack also showed us the barbarity of Russia as the country as well. Well, we knew about it before, after the occupation of Kiev, Kharkiv, and Kherson regions, after the massacres that were happening there. But targeting the hospital with kids is another level of the horror that you can imagine in your or someone's life. More about our medical projects will Maria, could you please present a bit more about medical projects through the past year? Thank you.
Okay, we had a lot of projects, and I will tell only the ones which are already kind of done. Because we still have an ongoing maternity project with White Ribbon Foundation and some others. So I will be talking only about the ones which are more or less done. Kind of when we were preparing for this event, we tried to quantify the impact of our medical aid. It wasn't easy because we bring to Ukraine so many different things, and they're so not standard. So one for heart surgery, another for premature children, another like a huge set of surgical instruments somewhere. So it's very different in its nature, and it was quite a challenge for us to quantify. But what we can say with confidence, and based on very conservative calculations, so there is like a 70% chance that the number is actually higher, but I want to be on the safe side. Our medical equipment, medications, and disposables helped make over 2,000 surgeries possible during the year of 2024, including approximately 300 pediatric operations. So that's our medical impact. And again, as I will tell, it's mostly because of you guys, our volunteers, because you give me the honor to distribute things you bring. And thank you for trusting me in doing that. And also thank you to some of the coordinators for letting me testing some of the medical equipment on you. I'm not sure it was very pleasant, but thank you so much for trusting me there as well, not to kill you by accident. About the second thing, we had one very unusual project this year, and it was developing a hospital-wide cleaning protocol and supplying the equipment to support it in one of the hospitals in Kyiv. The logical question, again, as it was a power-up, why are we focused on cleaning? And the answer is very simple, because proper sanitation prevents in-hospital transmission of infections and helps combat antibiotic-resistant bacterial strains, which cause to prolonged hospital stay, more severe antibiotic usage, and so on. And I'm actually, for this particular project, I'm incredibly grateful to the coordinators and volunteers who didn't think I was crazy for proposing it, and who helped turn the idea into reality by developing protocols, translating the protocols, and sourcing the right equipment. You made it possible. I just coordinated it, but you made it possible. I'm not, for those who are involved in this project, I'm not allowed to say publicly the numbers because of the law of Ukraine nowadays. But for those who participated, again, thank you. And I want you to know that like half a year after, I can tell you that it really, really worked. At one of another project, another medical project, which I would like to talk to you, is that you know that we are helping field hospitals, stabilization points, and so on with medicine. And what another amazing story happened to us last year. At one of the events in Kyiv, a military doctor approached our representative. He had just received an award that day. He walked up and said, "Are you the representative of that unpronounceable Dutch foundation? I've been looking for you for an hour." He had seen our name on the list of the participants and decided he needed to find us and introduce himself. Our representative expected a fairly typical conversation, maybe a proposal to cooperate or discuss future projects. But what came next was completely unexpected. The doctor said, "I came to thank you." Because no matter which stabilization point I was working at, I always saw boxes with your foundation's logo. And I always knew there would be something inside that truly mattered, something we actually needed. We didn't know who you were, but every time we saw one of your boxes, we knew it could save a life. And then he said something which is incredible for me. "I just want to thank you and to tell you how many lives you've helped to save." Over the years, our foundation has received many certificates, gratitude letters, awards, and so on. But the words of this military doctor, those are what we truly work for. This is the biggest appreciation we could get. And those words are not only for us, the coordinators. They are also for all of you who help us make this possible. So all of you actually helped to save lives. And now I'm getting very nervous. So Veronica, can you please?
Yes, sure. Last year was also eventful in the number of other ways, right? So which sometimes were very surprising to us. Myself and my sister Anastasia, I would say, who you know is the combat medic in Ukraine, became a part of the War Stories exhibition in the National Military Museum in Soesterberg. The exhibition takes place till the end of August, and I personally highly recommend you visiting it. Not just because to see our story together with Nesta, but also to see really real pictures of the war that are not socially acceptable. You will see blood, you will see dead people over there, but it brings you to the reality of what is day to day happening in Ukraine. Also, last year, Maria received a White Ribbon Award that highlights her dedication to helping children in Ukraine. And we would like to say thank you to the White Ribbon Foundation and Mariana in person for the continuous support in our projects related to the children and the neonatal healthcare in Ukraine. Time to time, you can spot some very attractive looking Japanese ambulances in our convoy. We even have a driver who always tries to reserve the place for driving one in Ukraine. And last year, we marked another important milestone of delivering ambulance number 200 to Ukraine. It was one of the Japanese beauties, as we call them, donated to Ukraine by Japanese foundation Krayani. Having you as a partner is always such a pleasure, especially when we receive a masterpiece of Japanese healthcare here in Amsterdam. And we couldn't be more grateful for all the international support we get, as so far we got as the donation and purchased ambulances from many countries in Europe, as well from the overseas. Another memorable moment of the past year was our Zeilen charity gala, where for the first time in 2 years, we changed from the bright yellow jackets to the black tie and had a chance to celebrate you. First of all, you. It was such a heartwarming event full of gratitude and respect of the achievements. With the charity auction, here I would like to say additional thanks to the people who donated all the auction lots to us. We collected more than 13,000 euros and sent them to Ukraine in order to support medical mission of Zhraya, which back then took place in Konstantinivka. Now, unfortunately, Konstantinivka is very close to the front line and the mission has been evacuated from there. As the part of the Zeilen's mission, we deeply value informational awareness and we raise attention to Ukraine in every possible way. After a huge success of Tour de Ambulance back in 2023, we created a new movable exhibition of the Tour de artifacts that were telling the stories of multiple horrible events that happened in Ukraine during the last 2 years. Bucha, Mariupol, Izum, Kharkiv, heartbreaking stories and massacres of killed people, lost families separated due to the Russian occupation, a memorial to everyone who was killed in this war since 24th of February 2022. Herlinda can tell you a bit more about a few highlights of this exhibition, and she was coordinating it from the beginning till the end. Herlinda, please.
Thank you. Yes, as Veronica said, after the previous years Tour de Ambulance in 2024, we decided to visit 15 cities in the Netherlands with a tour of war artifacts. And the event was dedicated to the second anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February and featured war artifacts showcasing photographs, personal items, and symbols that illustrate the ongoing impact of this war. We brought our exhibition to nearly all provinces and had moving conversations everywhere with Dutch passers-by and with Ukrainian refugees and recovering military. In Delft, the church carillon played the Czerwona Ruta, a song well known in Ukraine. On the bottom left, you see this picture that of the flowers of tulipans. The flowers that you see here, they were put there by a Ukrainian woman who had lost a loved one in the missile strike on the Kramatorsk station square. You might remember that it happened on 8th of April 2022, so that's just over 3 years ago. The two main goals of this moving exhibition were to raise information awareness about Russia's war in Ukraine, honoring the experiences of individuals who have suffered from Russian aggression and thereby seeking to foster understanding and empathy, and B, make sure that Ukraine would not disappear from the news and not disappear in fact as a country. Veronica, you can tell more about Don't Let Ukraine Disappear.
Yes, but actually you were doing the whole work, right? The powerful statements that Tour de Artifacts Don't Let Ukraine Disappear was eclipsed at the higher point that is known to each and every Dutch person on this call, the dam. This is where our amazing Herlinde, who has been tirelessly coordinating drivers and other things at Zeilen, gave a speech in Ukrainian. Let's this sink in. A Dutch person delivering a poignant, touching, heartbreaking message in Ukrainian at the Dam. I would like to quote a bit the speech itself. Together, our mission is to prevent Ukraine from fading away. We must help Ukraine stand against propaganda, remind the world of its existence, and reveal the true history where a terrorist state has been plagued Ukraine for 4 centuries. We need to help Ukraine win, to be free again across all its territories, from Carpathians to Donbas, from Chernigiv to Crimea, from east to west, from north to south. We need to unite in this fight, as only together we can beat the enemy, once and hopefully forever. Open your heart to Ukraine, keep it in your thoughts daily, spread awareness, and don't shy away from revealing the harsh reality of the war. Do whatever you want, but don't let Ukraine disappear. Herlinda, back to you.
Sound usually helps. Thank you, Veronica. Then Bevrijdingsdag. As all Dutch people know, Bevrijdingsdag, or in English, Liberation Day, it's celebrated every year on the 5th of May to celebrate the end of World War II in the Netherlands. We were invited by the organization of the Bevrijdingsval in Amsterdam to participate in this event for the 3rd time in a row. And of course, we were there with one of our ambulances, some merch, and enthusiastic volunteers and coordinators who were happy to inform visitors about why and how we are contributing to war relief efforts in Ukraine. As a matter of fact, we will be present at this year's Bevrijdingsfestival as well. We invite all of you to join us in the Westerpark on Monday, May 5th. Now, over to Mitchell.
Yes, and as you can see, multiple photos and videos from convoys from happy recipients when deliverables reaches them, and how it works. But sometimes, well, most of the times, it's only the tip of the iceberg. Lots and lots of work is behind the scene. This work is assemble convoy cars, prepare convoy supplies, receive inventory, medical donations, squeeze everything first into warehouse and then later on into the convoy cars, prepare, coordinate, and start the convoy with our beloved drivers. Sometimes you need to go somewhere in the middle of the Germany to repair cars or arrange their towing into the destination into Ukraine. But sometimes it is even more strange. You have all supplies, you're ready to start, but the day before there is a call from another organization in Germany that wants to donate 2 more cars. Well, that's the problem. They're 500 kilometers away, and you have only one day to prepare the documents, to bring the cars, and to start the convoy. And that's how it happened last February in one of the convoys. And the decision was, okay, let's think the opposite. Let's bring drivers to Germany, and let's start convoy as the 2 separate parties. So I had a nice happy Friday with sunshine weather in the Netherlands, cruising around, picking up the drivers from their homes or designated locations, picking up the documents, picking up the number plates, picking up the convoy supplies, the walkie-talkies and stuff like that, and driving this all 500 kilometers to Darmstadt to start the convoy on Saturday morning from 2 separate locations and navigate them to merge this somewhere in Germany. And that was quite successfully achieved. So by the evening around 7 p.m.-ish, the drivers were in southern West Germany, ready to rest, have a full night's sleep, and start the trip next morning. And I was on my way back to go to bed around 1 a.m.-ish. And later on, we received the news that the cars, as you can see on the right, met successfully somewhere mid-Germany and continue their way to be successfully delivered to Ukraine. So yeah, lots of scenarios can be overcome and achieved in Zeilen. Back to Nika.
Yeah, just Dmitro, letting you know that soon you will probably repeat this journey because there are a couple of cars waiting for us in Darmstadt. But yeah, guys, we are changing a lot of topics today because we would like to show you our expertise and the impact that we bring to Ukraine together with your help. And one of the most important and never spoken about from our side was and is a portable oxygen. So here a bit of research. It shows that providing oxygen to a wounded soldier within the first 40 minutes after injury, often referred to as a golden hour, can extend their critical survival window up to 8 hours. This extra time is vital for delivering effective care and evacuation because most of you know or don't know, but with the current statistics, evacuation in Ukraine takes way longer than 8 hours, unfortunately. So Saros 3000 delivers medical grade oxygen 93 plus minus 2% with the flow rate of 1.3 liters per minute, weighs just 5.5 kilos, and is safe, portable, and explosion-proof, unlike the traditional oxygen tanks. It operates even in harsh conditions, including helicopters, extreme temperatures, and high humidity. Importantly, that early oxygen therapy can reduce mortality by just 30% and give combat medics precious time to stabilize patients before the evacuation. The device uses smart technologies like auto-adjusting doses and sensing shallow breathing to adapt the patient needs, even in the tactical silence mode. Already trusted by military forces in USA, UK, France, Germany, and others, Saros 3000 is now helping save Ukrainian lives every day. Back in 2022, we were one of the first organizations who discovered Saros 3000, and since then delivered more than 250 units to the different evacuation equipages in Ukraine. 2024 was remarkable in another way in regards to the portable oxygen. After deep research and experiments that were done with the oxygen concentrators in Ukraine, our partners, International Aid Legion, opened a workshop where they could fully repair the generators and improve the outcoming oxygen level of them. Why is this important? Because you know that we're buying the refurbished medical equipment, and Saros 3000 is not an exception here. So some of the devices were coming with the lower oxygen level, which is not optimal for the front line. But now, with the great hands of International Aid Legion, we're able to get at the end the best possible result. This is generally a game changer in the field of medicine of this war. With the improved mortality rates after the introduction of the field oxygen, phrase oxygen means life has a totally different meaning for us. The project continues, and we obviously need your donations in order to supply Ukraine with more and more portable generators. And Olena, tell us the next story, please.
As we are only a couple of slides from the end of the deck, it's a good time to ask a question: how far does really the extent of our work go? And honestly, in the last 3 years, we got used to almost everything and anything, and we became immune to both compliments or defeat in the same proportion. But sometimes there are things that happen unexpectedly, and those things touch us deeply. When we saw the news of the first war prisoner exchange of the early days of this year, it was one ambulance in the row of ambulances that we instantly recognized. And you can see it here in the center of the photo, and you can see it logo too. And it was our Zeilen ambulance that was helping to retrieve and recover most precious Ukrainian people from Russian captivity. And this is how the true extent of our work is not always fully visible to ourselves and not fully understandable in the moment as well. With this, let's go to the last slide.
Before I will tell you one last thing, I would like to remind you about the Q&A that we are waiting for your questions via Q&A session or the general chat that you could access via the lower right corner of your screen. Please choose everyone and send either in the Q&A session or in the chat your question. With that being said, dear friends, first of all, thank you so much for being here with us today. Whether you've joined us for the first time or you've been walking this path with us for a while, your presence means everything. Let me start with something really important. So we are not running donation campaigns usually. We do not do big fundraising pushes, and we don't rely on the foreign aid or government grants. We are a true NGO in the meaning of the non-governmental organization. We definitely have some plans for the future. Continue our humanitarian mission, help as many people as possible, and try to fill in the places where the gaps are seen the most, like in palliative care, rehabilitation, or ambulance supply. We're not trying to change the system. This is really important, but we are looking into the weak part of it case per case, like Masha was saying about the cleaning stuff, like the oxygen generators in our case, and many, many more things that we even didn't touch today. And we will surely continue reacting on the mass events like Ohmedit attack with the helicopter view and using the resources we were giving with the best possible outcome. We are talking to medics all everywhere in Ukraine on the daily basis, doing the analysis and assessments of the current situation and trying to be proactive all the time, closing the gaps, improving the overall care and medical help, doing the research of the different kinds and optimizing the already established processes. We operate with what we receive from you, our donors, our supporters, and our sponsors. And you know what? That's more than enough, because you've never let us down. Every ambulance we deliver, every dialysis machine we install, every hospital we support, it all happens because of you. You've helped us to deliver over more than 200 emergency vehicles, save hundreds of lives, and keep hope alive in places where it's needed the most. We're proud to say that your donations turn into impact within just 10 days. That's how seriously we take this work. That's how seriously we take your trust. So while we're not asking, we want to know you this. Every donation is welcome. Every single one will be used with care, urgency, and purpose. We are an INBI, in Dutch it's Algemeen Noodbeoogende Instelling, or in English, Public Benefit Organization. And that means that the Dutch government and your donation recognize us, and your donations are tax deductible. We'll always support you with the necessary documents to complete your yearly tax declaration. Just send us an email. Here at Zeilen van Vrijheid, you are a lifeline. You are the reason we are able to move, help, and make a difference. And for that, we all these coordinators laying in the top, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We don't do this for the headlines. We do it for people, and we do it together. Slava Ukraini, and once again, thank you. I see some questions going into our chats, and Roland has raised a hand. Roland, could you please write your question in the chat so we can vocalize it? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I see some questions in the chat. Actually, I do not see any questions in the chat, nor do I see any questions in our Q&A.
No, I see them. I can overtake, Dana. So I see from Marianne, hello allemaal, prachtige presentaties and speeches. Nice you mentioned White Ribbon. We are at your side and doing what is needed and possible for your lovely country. Thanks a lot, Marianne. As we said, it's impossible to be done with you, right? Because you drive us through.
I see a question just came in from Roland. If there will be any more medic courses in the Netherlands by Zeilen?
Maria?
I think it's referral to anesthesia course.
Yeah, true. I already forgot about that. Well, Anastasia came here for 2 weeks visiting me, and that was a lovely journey. And we decided to use it with care and opportunities for everyone. So that's why she basically did not a full course, but just a presentation into the tactical medicine in Ukraine and how is it going. I don't know when she's coming for the next time and what are the plans for that. And we, as the foundation, we are not specialized in organizing the tactical medicine courses specifically. So, but we do invite you to join the tactical medical courses from our friends Leonard. I can, if you send me the message, I can send you the link. But Roland, I do think you already participated those courses. But they do have the next level, as far as I read on LinkedIn recently.
Thank you, Veronica.
Yeah.
One more mention from Alex. Important thing to mention, when we drive the convoy, we're always happy to see people wave at us. So it's a nice sentiment.
And Kirill is saying Heroyam Slava. Thank you. If we don't have any other questions, we have one. I will read it. It's from Maxime. Hi, thank you for your work and the wonderful presentation. It seems that donations have decreased considerably over the months. Do you have projections for this year and how do they compare to 2024? And do you see the opportunity to source more funds? Thank you for the question, Maxime. Surely the donations are decreasing day by day, and they are not decreasing only They're not decreasing only for our organization, but they do decrease for all the organizations overall. Even the Red Cross faces the significant decrease in the donations over the past year because the focus of the people started to be a bit different. I don't want to say exactly what the focus is because it depends country per country, but we adjusted our way of working, right? Back in 2022, we had a huge amount of the donations, and we used all of them to the very last cents in order to help Ukraine. We did receive less donations in 2023, and again, we adjusted. Running donations campaign, I don't want to become an organization who is dancing to get the donation for a single ambulance. I'm sorry. But we try to operate with everything that you are giving to us. And if on some of the days we don't receive the single donation, we're just doing planning for the next months that unfortunately we cannot send the convoy. So our convoy planning and basically the goods that we're going to deliver with this convoy, it's based on the financial understanding of how many donations did we receive during the past couple of weeks. And when we have enough money to purchase an ambulance or and deliver it to Ukraine, we just do that. We just purchase an ambulance and deliver it to Ukraine. So I hope that covers your question. Yes, Maria.
I want to add on top of it. So it's not only ambulances. You see ambulances, and that's what mainly is on our social media pages and so on. But we also do send trucks full of whatever we have back at the moment. At some point were bicycles, then were medical equipment, depends. But also we pay for those trucks quite often. And they also cost money. So, but we don't have that many pictures, and we don't want to bore you with the loading of the truck because it's hopefully, if everything goes right, pretty boring procedure. So it doesn't make to our Facebook only the receiving end of deliveries to make there. I think that's what I wanted to add on.
Elena?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the projection part because it's obvious that donations and activity around that, they do follow some like yearly patterns or could be cyclical in nature. Like, for example, Christmas is one obvious time where people are thinking where we are launching communication, we are ramping up that people are thinking about that, right? Then there is also usually surges if something happens in Ukraine. This is what we also, like Veronica said, like Maria said, responding to what is happening. However, with everything that is happening in the world right now, the amount, it is harder to predict, it is just harder to predict the incoming amount of donations as well, because this is the first things that go down both from individual side with the cost of living, with the inflation, with the uncertainty on the markets, but also from the company side. It is very obvious that if they cannot be certain in global markets, they cannot be certain in the amount of things they can spend on us. So yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Maxim, for the question, and everyone who texted in the chat. We do seems to, yeah, Maxim said thank you as well.
We have a question from the form, from the sign up form, from the people who weren't able to attend. I will read this out for now. In general, what were you able to achieve on the plans for the future, which I think we have already covered? Also, if there is any other way we can help besides our financial contribution, and will you apply for recognition by the Dutch government as organization, which I think Veronica has also touched upon, which we are a recognized ANBI. But would you like to touch upon?
Sure, I would like to touch upon the help. So in the current setup and the optimization of the work that we have done for the past 3 years, I know that there is like at least two chats with the volunteers who are who are having a lot of hunger, who are helping to Ukraine. But unfortunately, I have to admit it that with the way of the optimization that we've done so far, we don't need as many hands as we needed in the beginning of as the beginning of the full-scale invasion. We definitely need the financial contributions, as you know, this is how we operate. But that doesn't stop you from being active. That doesn't stop you about thinking about Ukraine on the daily basis, right? So this message that we were having last year, we have it on the daily basis. Informational awareness. Don't let Ukraine disappear. Keep talking about that. Keep talking about Ukraine with your neighbors, with your colleagues, with the family. Read the news and explain what is happening in Ukraine, because unfortunately, a lot of propaganda is happening in the world in general. And some of the times, the messages from Ukraine are not that clear. Like just in the past couple of weeks, there were so many significant attacks on Kiev, on Kryvyi Rih, on other cities of Ukraine, and like many people died. But the news and the world seems to forget about that. Yes, want to help Ukraine, speak up on the social media. Thank you, Roland. A beautiful suggestion. Share the news, share the posts, share your opinions and your way of thinking about everything. But just keep Ukraine to the top of the newspapers all the time and keep talking about that. And believe me or not, that helps a lot also in fighting of Russian propaganda, because with the amount of the bots that are going on that Twitter or Facebook or everywhere on Instagram, it's really hard to deal with from the perspective of the Ukrainian side. So don't let Ukraine disappear. Talk about it on the daily basis. Make it your best habit to talk about Ukraine on the daily basis and check what is happening. And that would be a huge amount of help already provided to Ukraine. If someone wants to add something to this. Then I would like to thank you all for being here today with us, for being with us during the past years, right? That's the most important, because we need you. We need your donations. We need not only the money contribution, but also the things that you are bringing to our storage. We are extremely grateful for that. And people in Ukraine whose life we potentially, or not potentially, but just saved, they are grateful as well. If someone wants to say last words, please go from the coordinators. Otherwise, we will close this session and we see you next time, or we see you around, and we're telling goodbye for today. Thank you so much, guys.
Goodbye. Thank you very much.